Welcome everyone to this short video to tell you a little bit about a one-day urban retreat in Singapore called Unfurl that is brought to you by me, Joanna Manikji of Sunny Acres, and Abhilasha Krishnan of Thriving Habitat. I'm Joanna, and I spent the first 25 years of my career as a learning designer, designing experiences for people, mostly in companies, to enhance their learning in various topics, including leadership development. After those 25 years, I started to notice that I wasn't feeling very well. I had a lot of pain, but it didn't seem like enough information for me to take any action. And it was around that time that I reached out to a healer who asked me, what do you think your body is trying to tell you, or even your heart? And I couldn't even understand the question. As I increased my awareness of what was going on inside of me through journaling, meditation, as well as the healing practices of my coach, I came to understand that I probably wasn't living a life that incorporated all the parts of me, and that my body was trying to send me a signal through all that pain and despair to do something different. Around that time, I decided to take a large risk and left my very stable career to decide what I wanted to do next. It was during that time that I realigned the important things in my life and decided that my very long-standing hobby of art would become more front and central of my life, and that perhaps I could also integrate that with the last 25 years of my working experience. And thus Sunny Acres was born, and the idea of creative contemplation, which I will tell you more about shortly. Abhilasha, would you like to give us a short introduction?
My experience, quite similar to Joe's, has been largely in multinational organizations, in human resources leadership, organizational development, and executive and team coaching. That's my background. Somewhere towards the fag end of COVID, I also started experiencing a significant call from my body. I had two very young kids, a high pressure job, as well as, of course, all of us experienced the after effects of the pandemic. After decades of walking around literally as a brain on legs, I was not in the habit of listening to what my body had to say. Something in me told me that I need to take time off in a way where I was honoring, reconnecting with, and reacquainting myself with my body, and perhaps learning an alternative language that I was very unfamiliar with at that point of time. 1.5 years later, having invested in my own learning and exploratory journey of breath work and movement, what that brought me was the realization that all of our inner landscape manifests in our outward bodily sensations in ways that once we start tuning in, it becomes impossible to ignore. And in this process, what has happened for me is I have reclaimed my creative core and thrilled with the publication of a work that I was involved with over the last year, which contains both art and writing. I am thrilled with this amazing collaboration that Joanna and I have put together here, where we explore deep internal transformational and transformative practices and experiences. We do that through the lens of dynamic balance and creative contemplation, which are movement and art led. I'd love for us to explore the three pillars on which we have built the Unfurl experience. And as we unpack this, your expertise in the instructional design space becomes very apparent in how thoughtfully this is being pulled together and is very reflective of and incorporates the adult learning cycle and requirements.
Indeed, we bring our individual pieces of expertise to Unfurl. If Unfurl is a one-day program or a one-week program or a program of a lifetime, we believe that it needs to have three parts. The first is dynamic balance, which Abhilasha will lead. The second is creative contemplation, which is an art-based practice that I lead. The third is more of a place where we choose to have our unfurl experiences, which is nature. We believe that nature is a really important home for unfurl. It reflects a relaxed, balanced state of things that we want for ourselves. We also think about the ways in which learning will happen in Unfurl. We do a mixture of experiences followed by journaling and group coaching. We believe that these ways of reflection are important for adults to think deeply on their experience and to use their own inner wisdom and the wisdom of others to collectively make shifts forward. So those are the three pillars. And I'd love to invite you now to tell us a little bit more about each of the parts.
Dynamic balance is a philosophy or an approach where we understand that balance is not a place to be, a destination to arrive at, or an experience to be acquired. Balance is a state of being, a perspective, and it shifts. That experience almost all of us have had at some point or the other, where things just seem to happen naturally. The resistance is low, the momentum is high, the internal chatter really quiets down. We are effectively our experience, or we're flowing with that experience. When balance, flexibility, and flow are things that we not only become aware of, but can intentionally access, that leads to a path of mastery and integration. And we're able to ask ourselves much deeper questions around what our purpose is, how that purpose is best served, who do we want to serve through living that purpose, leading the way to a much deeper fulfillment.
I've been a collage artist for about 20 years. One of the things that struck me as I reflected on my practice was how calm it made me. It put me into this meditative state in which time slowed down, and I was able to focus very deeply on what I was doing, unlocking huge amounts of creative energy, which led to a feeling of wellness. Creative contemplation is a process that I've designed that prepares people for greater levels of awareness and insight through guided visualizations. Collage is a very accessible art form and one that allows everybody to make a thing of beauty. In that collage making, we end up expressing what is significant and consolidating a lot of thoughts, feelings, and emotions that are coming up for us. What we will be doing for our one-day retreat is using this process to consolidate the insights that the first half of the day have conjured up for individuals and gather those insights and put them down somewhere as a visual reminder to you when you leave to take that insight with you and take action. If you're in and this sounds like a great way to spend your day, please scan the QR code, which will take you to an Eventbrite invitation where you can learn even more about Unfurl, but also sign up. So thank you for your time, for joining Abhilasha and me today to hear more about the program.
Feel free to reach out to either one of us, and we hope to see you on the 29th for Unfurl's one-day retreat.